We are at the stand of the Groove Synethesis. We are meeting a guy there that showcases the product with this typical American enthusiasm of a salesperson. He knows all the hidden features of the device. And Third Wave is one of the most expensive synths with a price tag of $5,000. And I was really curious why.
So, if you can tell us a few words why you started Groove Synethesis, what made you do it? You know, it's like you wake up one day and you said, okay, now I'll produce one of the most epic synths in the world, right? So, how was it?
Well, so at the time when I was first thinking about this, I was working at Sequential with Dave Smith.
Yeah.
And Dave makes great stuff. The first thing that I made with him was the Prophet 12.
Okay.
I did the oscillator section there. At some point during that run with Dave, I said, man, I'd really like to make something that emulated the PPG Wave that does the wavetable synthesis like the Microwave 1 also from Waldorf. After that, they went to a different model, but there was something unique about that sound. Dave, of course, said, Bob, not interested, but why don't you try it? And I, like an idiot, went ahead and took the bait and did it. Unfortunately, Dave passed away right before we got the thing out. But had a couple of other buddies that also worked at Sequential work with us, and a couple of people that I knew that are like Andrew, who you'll see in a lot of the videos, great programmer. He is my right-hand man for all of the embedded programming that we do, and we wound up, mostly with my funding and a little bit from everybody else, came up with this thing and got it finished.
So it was your ambition, right, to do something different?
Well, the ambition, yeah. So why this thing?
Yeah.
Because nobody at the time was doing anything that sounded like the PPG anymore.
Yeah.
And I said, I know what the signal processing chain was for that. Let's recreate that as a starting point. I didn't want to just do a copy of a PPG, but I said, as a starting point, let's do that, and then add these other synthesis methods.
Yeah.
So the modern day, the analog, and the FM. The sampling came even later. We weren't going to do that at first, but those four techniques were always in this thing. And if you've got parts, multi-parts, like what you would have on a high-end thing like a Synclavier, or even a low-end thing like an Ensoniq EPS, I wanted to have multiple parts so that if you could think of the sound, you'd had enough synthesis techniques and enough different parts that you could probably make the sound from it. So that's what the idea was. And again, when I came to Dave with this,
okay,
he liked the idea of it, but his background was with the Prophet VS, with the Wave Station, where they were moving individually, so he didn't have much of a background with the wavetable part of it, so that didn't necessarily resonate with him. Ironically enough, a much abbreviated version of one of these wavetable oscillators is what's in the Sequential Pro 3.
Okay.
So it did make it in there somehow.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the full palette.
So how long have you been doing that so far?
I started work, well, I've been doing DSP since 1999, I guess,
right,
is when it started. Worked at DigiDesign, doing their Pro Tools plugins, including the Elastic Audio feature, and with Chris Townsend doing 11.
Okay.
And then started working with Dave in 2011, so about a year before the Prophet 12 came out. And I've been doing stuff with Sequential ever since. I still do some of their DSP as a contractor. Now I'm also doing a day job at Apple doing spatial audio, amongst other things.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how many years Groove Synethesis is there now?
Groove Synethesis is the brand, yes.
Yeah, so how long is it on the market?
We came out we showed it, is what I should say, at NAMM in 2022 in the spring.
So just 3 years.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And we started working on it about 3.5 years before that. So it did not just appear. It was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah.
Especially with at that time our hardware engineer getting everything going. So a lot of work, a lot of coming up to speed, and the oscillator section, which of course is the digital piece of it, that was done far ahead of some of the other pieces.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
Right. And so now you started with the keyboard version, then the desktop module version, right?
Yeah. So the keyboard came first. Two of the guys that I was working with at the time, Mark Wilcox being one of them, they said, we got to do a desktop. So they figured out how to get the size of it down for the desktop. But as far as the processing and signal chain, that's identical in that one. And then we never did have the ability, because we're too small, to get the price down far enough to make a small thing to compete. We finally figured out recently what to do to get us into the smaller brother, as I call it, the 8M, that allows us to do 8 voices, 2 parts, and a much lower price. It's gonna go out at $19.99 US. So yeah, so the keyboard was first, and if that was all we ever got done, I'm still very happy.
Yeah.
And the sampling also came after the fact. we had everything done that the PPG would have done originally, including all these other synthesis techniques that they didn't do, like FM, but the PPG also had a wave term, so it did sampling. And I said, if we're going to complete the loop on this guy before we go to the next product, let's get sampling in there. So we added sampling actually at this show last year. This is when the first bit of samples came out, and now we've got it where it will load samples and programs as a unified set, and we're going to have a sample library that will be available on the website in about 3 to 4 weeks.
So yeah, the sequencer is also, you wouldn't expect it from a retro style synth. You would think it's just oscillators, but it's so many levels that it works on so many levels, right?
I love, and they're over here in Germany, and I work with some of those guys. Apple bought them, and it's now called Logic.
Yeah.
But that company was originally eMagic, and they had Creator and Notator. I used to sequence stuff all the time back in the early 90s with Creator. And I'm like, we got to have a pattern-based sequencer in here that will also do song mode and that will also do quantized. And so, yeah, that went in there. And Andrew actually had a lot to do with that piece of it. So I actually gave him a Atari and the original software from that, and he studied that and got a lot of that. And he and I worked on that until we had the good 4-part, sequencer that's in there.
Okay. So what are the plans for the next 3 to 5 years for the brand?
Oh my goodness. That I cannot tell you because I would have to shoot you. No, I'm kidding.
Of course.
No, we are working.
I don't want that.
We are working on a new product right now. It's probably realistically going to take about another year, so probably about this time next year we will have that out. But it is not related to that, except for, it's partially related to the third wave, but it's
complementary product.
Pardon
Kind
me?
of complementary product.
Complementary
product.
It's some kind of complementary product. It will do a little bit of what that does, but it's going to do something that we've never seen in any of the hardware since out there. And I am hoping that when we get it done, we might even be able to get a patent on it.
So, nice.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So
Thank you for the interview.
Yes.